I'm Greg Tepper. That's Greg Powers. And this is This Week
in Cruton.
Yeah, we did it. All right.
I like it.
We're getting a lot better at this. We're getting a lot better. So today, it's This Week in Cruton with Next Level Athlete, superstar Greg Powers. Follow him on Twitter at GPowers79. I imagine
Still GPower79.
Still GPower79. We're working on that. And then follow Next Level Athlete, Next Level D1. So we're talking recruiting. And this is actually a kid, our commit of the week is a kid that I saw in person in week 1.
Wow.
I did. I went out to the Pittsburgh game. I saw Keontae Burns play for Pittsburgh. And I'll tell you, I'm not a recruiting expert like you are. Sure passes the eyeball test, though.
Definitely a good-looking kid, probably 6'3". We have him listed at 175, but the rumors out there that he's pushing up into the 190 range. Maybe you can verify that.
He looked kind of beefy. He looked like he had filled out a little bit because I know that as a playing as a junior the year before, he had been kind of string beanie. He is not that anymore. He's put on some weight.
This is a huge commitment for SMU, and it was a very busy week on the commitment front. Last week we only had one, so process of elimination. He was the commitment of the week, Tyler Owens to Texas. This was well contested, and I think it's the best commitment for SMU in this class, which is the #1 rated class in the AAC this year, and has a lot of really good commitments on it, like TJ McDaniel from South Lake Carroll, who's a superstar, Terrence Gibson from Westfield, a quarterback who I think can be a difference maker there. And they've also dipped into Louisiana to grab some impressive talent as well. So while it's not rolling on the field, so to speak, so far for Sonny Dykes, they are putting together some impressive recruits on the list.
Yeah, and Keontae Burns had offers from a lot of Power 5 schools.
Alabama.
He had an offer from Alabama. He had an offer from Arkansas. You know, if you want to talk
Texas
about
A&M.
if you want to talk about an area of the state that Chad Morris has really dominated recently, recruiting to Arkansas, it's been East Texas. Well, here's a guy that he let get away to SMU. This is a game changer, I think, for SMU.
And I think the thing that might have sold SMU over the top over some of these other schools is a lot of these bigger programs envision Burns on the defensive side of the football, and SMU can hang their hat on Cortland Sutton, who was a very similar prospect coming out of Brenham, I believe, that a lot of schools were recruiting on the defensive side of the football. Ended up starting at wide receiver at SMU.
Yeah, he ended up being okay.
He's all right.
Yeah. So what we were talking about him, we were just watching him on Monday Night Football. So let's talk about Underclassman of the Week. It is it seems like every single week we're talking about a kid that I'm like, oh yeah, he is awesome. He's just a junior? Really?
Yeah.
Really? This time we're going out to East Dallas. East of Dallas to Rockwall. Jackson Smith-Njigba is I think he's been up for Mr. Texas Football Player of the Week before.
Yep. I think he might be up this week.
This week.
Yeah.
This kid's going off, and it sounds like he's starting to get noticed too.
Well, on 2 offers this week, Ole Miss and Notre Dame, just adds to an impressive and growing list for him. He's a guy who all the top colleges are going to be after, and will probably be in the discussion to be the #1 wide receiver in the state. I mean, it's going to be a well-contested year. It always is. Texas rolls deep with wide receivers no matter what the class is. It's just a position that we produce talent at. But he's going to be in that discussion, and he had a huge game, 289 yards. I think he scored 4 touchdowns in it, maybe 3 receiving, 1 rushing. He's already eclipsed double-digit touchdowns on the season, 40 receptions. So he's a guy who Rockwall quarterback Jacob Clark, who's also a D1 commit, leans on in the passing game.
We're talking with Greg Powers, our recruiting analyst from Next Level Athlete here on Texas Football Today. Get involved in the conversation, #TF Today. All right, prospect on the rise. Let's stick around the DFW area, mid-cities now, to Mansfield. Talk Chandler Rogers. I know, Max, you saw him.
Baby.
Chandler Rogers, the quarterback for Mansfield Lake Ridge. Made highlight reels last week with that dime he dropped with 6 seconds left. This kid, guy, sounds like that is like he'd been getting noticed before, but now it's like, oh, you beat DeSoto? Okay, yeah, we'll definitely give you some.
It's a marquee win.
Yeah,
I mean,
exactly.
I didn't pick Lake Ridge to win that game.
I didn't
picked
either.
DeSoto. I don't know if anyone.
I think I picked.
Maybe
DeSoto.
one person that I know in our pick'em circle might have picked Lake Ridge.
Tepper actually picked Lake Ridge.
Did he really? And he didn't even know it.
He didn't even know it, but he did pick Lake Ridge.
Where?
Wow, congratulations.
Pretty sure you did in the video.
In the video?
I'm pretty sure you picked Lake Ridge.
Yep.
He
said very confidently.
Of
course I did.
I only remember because I'm always, whenever I'm surprised by your pick, I never forget it.
On paper, it was DeSoto.
Oh yeah. So
on paper.
Listen, guys.
So I mean, that's
Sorry.
perfect. I mean, if you could pick one on paper,
and
then the other on video, then
I can't lose. I can't lose. Okay, so Chandler Rogers, why? It's not just the marquee win. This kid's pretty special.
And he's developing as a prospect, and that's the perfect thing to look at when you're talking about a prospect on the rise. You're probably watching video or seeing video as we talk about him from his next level athlete showcase performance back in January, and you can see the type of skill sets that he brings. He's a guy who's very mobile, athletic, can throw on the run, but he's also becoming a better decision maker. And I think that's the thing. When you're talking about a guy who's more of a dual threat or a guy who can move around in the pocket and make plays, you want to see accuracy number one when you're watching the tape. And we saw the throw against DeSoto, but his efficiency's on the rise, and I think that as a result, more colleges will start to look at him. As of right now, Air Force and Southern Miss are the two that are really high on him. I think Southern Miss is really one to watch, but maybe some more local schools will get in the mix.
Yeah, well, again, it sounds silly, but like you got to remember that college football coaches are basically paying attention to headlines as well. And so whenever you make headlines, like we do with DeSoto, with the winner of DeSoto, you go, oh, well, let me take a look at this kid. It gives them an excuse, a foot in the door.
And it's their job not to offer in many cases, so you really have to eliminate all doubt.
Yeah, exactly. Okay, so then the recruit of the week, you saw him last Friday in a massive private school matchup, but Grant Gunnell, the quarterback for Houston St. Pius X, former Texas A&M commit, he follows Kevin Sumlin, his commitment over to Arizona.
Yep.
You saw him in person. What are your thoughts on Mr. Gunnell?
Well, he's always been a highly rated guy. I mean, he's put up numbers at SPX since he was a freshman there, I believe. I think
Silly numbers.
Silly numbers. He's probably going to surpass the all-time marks for touchdowns and passing yards.
He's got a really good shot at it.
I think he's 17 touchdowns away, just over 800 yards. So, I mean, he does have a great shot at that. And we've always talked about things that are possibly NFL progressions. He's got great size. He has a good arm. He has great accuracy. But the thing that really grabbed my attention the most watching this game was his pocket feel. I mean, I didn't know that Grant Gunnell had the escapability that he showed in this game. He was constantly under pressure. The offensive line blocked almost no one the whole night. Threw well on the run. Really felt the defensive ends collapsing in on him, and I don't think that's anything that you can really coach. So that was really something that impressed me, because when you're 6'6", 6'7", 220 pounds, everyone knows who you are. It's those other intangibles that are going to separate you, and I think that Arizona got a heck of a quarterback. This guy's going to be a really good player.
Yeah, and the other thing for me, and that is, you mentioned that he's got that pocket feel, and that's not something you can coach. I totally agree with you. And I think that only comes with experience, and that's where the fact that he's now a 3-year starter at St. Pius, and he also got some run as a freshman too.
Right.
Like he won, I think, kind of here and there. I mean, this is an experienced guy who's going to have, once he steps on campus, he's going to have, 40 games worth of experience under his belt.
And we're seeing it now on the next level. Kyler Murray, Sam Ehlinger, Alan Bowman. These guys are all guys who start at high levels and for multiple years at big-time Texas high school football programs, and now they're getting on the field early. Even Kyler Murray started as a freshman at Texas A&M and making an impact early in college.
He is Greg Powers. Follow him on Twitter at GPowers79. This week, you're heading to
Cruton.
In Cruton. But this Friday, right, you're heading to Rockwall Mesquite Horn.
Yeah, going to see Jackson Smith and Jigba. But they've got some other talent as well. A guy who I really want to watch is a younger player, the younger brother of Alston and Anthony Orgy. Alex Orgy is getting on the field now. And after
another one?
Another Orgy.
Good Lord.
I believe he's a sophomore this year, playing wide receiver. But after Jacob Clark is done, he'll have his shot at quarterback there. And he looks just like the other two brothers, really well put together, very impressive prospect on the eyeball test. And then, of course, Mesquite Horn has 2021 linebacker Kendrick Blackshire, who's just a manimal. And that's your criticism this week, manimal.
What is it about Mesquite and linebackers? And linebackers who emerge really early too.
Well, I think Mesquite produces a lot of blue-collar, throwback-style players in general. It's a very tough district. They have a tough youth league over there, and I think that helps prepare those guys for high school and then on to college. But there's been a lot of tough guys there.
He is Greg Powers, the recruiting analyst at Next Level Athlete. Follow him on Twitter at GPower79 and follow Next Level Athlete, our recruiting partner, on Twitter at NextLevelD1. Greg, appreciate your time. This has been This Week
in Cruton.